Welcome, friends, haters, gentle lovers, and feeders. Join me as we experience together the most bafflingly interesting person on the internet. On today's episode, Amberlynn Reed does basically nothing. Hello, my friends. Amberlynn uploaded her What I Ate Today, so her title for today's video is What I Really Ate to Get to This Size. I don't think it's a mystery. I'm guessing it's the same that anybody this size ate to get to that point. But let's see what she has to say. So if you'd like to like and subscribe, that would literally be hectic. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey guys, welcome to another What I Ate Today video. So before we get started, I have a few things I would like to say. One, every single thing that I eat is A, better, and B, less than what I ate to get to my heaviest at 572.4. Two, I am taking things that I learned when I did outpatient, and I'm also taking things that I'm learning from Noom, where I'm counting my calories. I'm taking everything and trying to put it all together and do what works best for me. So far, I'm actually...
She doesn't know what works best for her because nothing has ever worked for her. If you were just to discover her at this point, you might go, okay, good luck, you got this, girl. But this is the 5,000th time she's said something like this. When she says I'm mixing it all together and doing what's best for me, that is code for I'm going to give myself permission to not be perfect. So she will never get anywhere because she has to give herself an out so that when she decides she wants to either quit or just eat what she wants, she can still do that and pretend like she's still on track.
actually doing pretty good. I'm not perfect. My meals are weird and random.
Not perfect.
Like my first meal isn't even a breakfast. Third thing is I'm counting every single calorie that I'm eating in the Noom app. I will not be talking about calories though, because it is triggering for me. Not in the sense of like, oh, talking about calories is triggering, but it's triggering when I sit there and I count on my calories and then people tell me I'm wrong, even though I'm right. I learned how to read a...
But she's so strong, you guys. You know, she doesn't know how she does it. How she just handles all the hate.
I genuinely don't know how I do it. And I know that's such an annoying answer, but like so many people ask like, how do you do this? How do you have the confidence? Like, how do you handle the hate? Like, I don't know. I genuinely do not know. A part of me blames it on my childhood, like, because I went through so much, so I had to be strong at such an early age. Because it's like, if I didn't go through all that crap that made me have strength, I don't know if I'd be able to handle all this other stuff.
She's just so strong because of her childhood, you know, because of her really difficult childhood. She's so strong. Yet she cannot handle anybody telling her she's wrong to the point where she even says she's triggered by being told that she's wrong on her calories. If she would just ignore it, it wouldn't be an issue, but she can't do that, can she?
I learned how to read a nutrition label and everything about it at the age of 10. Not many 10-year-olds can do that. 10-year-olds should not be dieting, but
I love that she wants to make it seem like she was just a really smart 10-year-old. Not many 10-year-olds can read a nutrition label, you guys. Unfortunately, that's kind of when she peaked, I think. We're not saying necessarily that you're doing it wrong. We're saying that you're lying about it. There's a difference. You know, some people are probably saying, hey, you realize that's more calories or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, you could be doing it wrong. But for the most part, what people are saying is you are not being honest about what you're eating. Because you would not be maintaining at over 500 pounds if you were eating 2,600 calories a day. You just wouldn't. So when you come on here and say, I'm eating 2,600 calories a day, you're lying. That's what we're saying. And also, I don't think she knows really what she's doing as far as calories. I don't think she counts a lot of, you know, the extra ingredients that she puts into stuff. So she ends up missing a bunch of calories throughout the day. And I don't think she's real good at like math and understanding serving sizes. Because here's the thing. She claims that like a meal is this many calories per serving. But and then you see the meal and it's like, there's no way that was one serving. Her problem isn't necessarily understanding the calories in the food, it's understanding portion sizes and serving sizes. Even though she's claiming she's like weighing the food and everything, either she's not doing it right or she's just lying. And I think she's just lying.
But regardless, my goal is to allow myself to eat in moderation. I'm allowed to eat what I want. I just have to stay in my calorie goal. So I actually just ordered my first meal. Yes, my first meal will be from takeout. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So my first meal, I got Arby's. So this is the only thing that I literally ever get from there. I get the crinkle fries, literally my favorite fry. And then I get the French dip sandwich.
I don't know if you can get it in like a half size or whatever, but whatever sandwich she's getting, Like if you can get a large or a medium, whatever, she's always getting the biggest that they have. Case in point, 20-piece chicken McNuggets. She said, I ordered 20-piece nuggets, like it was just a normal thing, that's just what people do. Like, yeah, 20-piece nugget.
Which is just bread, roast beef, and I think provolone cheese. Dropped a piece. So with the French dip, you obviously get the dipping sauce. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is what it looks like. And then you just dip
It is au jus.
it. It's honestly so freaking good. So I think what would be fun is showing examples of what I'm choosing to eat now versus what I would have ate in the past. In the past, I would have easily gotten 2 of the sandwiches and 2 of the fries, without a doubt. By the way, I did.
So, yes, 2 sandwiches is ridiculous. But that size sandwich is also ridiculous. She should eat half that sandwich. That's a normal size meal. And even that is probably a little too much, especially with the fries and everything else. But that's the problem with just kind of America in general and just people in general. We have no idea what an actual portion is supposed to be, like an actual meal is supposed to look like. It's actually much smaller than you'd think. And guess what? If you eat those smaller portions, at first, you will be hungry some, but that's okay. It is okay to be hungry sometimes. And of course, I'm speaking to people who are looking to lose weight. If you have a restrictive ED, please just ignore everything I'm about to say. But after a little while, you start getting used to it, to where you can eat a normal sized portion, a small portion, and you're not hungry anymore. I think people would be surprised how little actual food you need to fuel your body and to survive the way that we're meant to survive.
I did get a Diet Coke, but they did not give me a straw. That's okay. So I'm gonna have to drink it like this.
Okay, I'm gonna edit that out, but she slurped it like a nincompoop.
Also would have gotten either a milkshake or some type of dessert. This time, I did not. So when it comes to calories and quantity, I completely cut it in half compared to how I would eat it on a day I was off track. All right, you guys, it's time for the next meal. I'm gonna be making...
None of this matters because even if she did do everything the way she's saying right now, she can't make it last long enough to see any actual results. And the fact that she still hasn't figured that out is kind of concerning, honestly, at this point.
Making some chicken sausages with some veggies. So first things first, I am going to cut everything. So I'm just going to cut it in slices here. So I'm also going to have some Brussels sprouts.
She needs to Google how to safely cut food.
But I'm just going to take some and cut off the edges and cut them a little smaller. So I'm just taking off the ends like this type of piece. And just make them a little smaller like that. I'm also going to be cutting up some broccoli and cauliflower. So just cutting off the stem because I don't like the texture. I like the taste. It's the texture I don't like. And then I'm also going to slice some mini peppers. Last but not least, some scallion, which some people call green onion. I cut the tips of both like that. I'm going to keep them pretty big because I'm just going to be cooking them with the rest of the veggies. I'm actually going to have one more. All right, so I'm going to spray some Pam. I'm just going to add everything at once besides the green onion. For seasoning, garlic salt.
Now, she is going to claim that she's not going to eat all that because this is a shitload of food. This is enough for a family. But she's going to claim she's going to eat like half of it and save the rest for leftovers. But I just don't buy it. I'm not convinced because, again, if she was really only eating half of what she normally ate and she was staying at 2,600 calories, she would lose a lot of weight pretty quickly. And even with lipedema and lymphedema, if she could stay at the calorie number and cut out some carbs and things like that, she may not lose 50 pounds in a month, but she would lose some significant weight, enough to make a difference. But even with all that, even if she did all the things that she needs to do and did everything right, she can't do it long term. She doesn't understand that none of this does anything because it has to be a change for the rest of your life, literally. Because a lot of people misunderstand what they're actually going to be doing when they lose weight. Their idea, even if they don't realize it, sort of subconsciously what they're thinking is, I'm going to eat this specific diet and I'm going to get to my goal weight or whatever. And then once you get there, then they think, okay, cool, I'm done. And now I can eat what I want again. But that's just not the way it works. You have to, if you're going to lose weight, and you want to keep it off, you have to change your lifestyle. You have to completely change the way you approach food, the way you look at food, the way you eat food for the rest of your life. For every single day until the day you die. If you don't, then that weight will come right back. And she is not capable of making actual long-term change. She's just not. She's not mature enough for that. She doesn't want to. It's clear that the most important thing on earth to her is eating the foods that she enjoys, because it's about all she talks about. So this is completely pointless until she's ready to make a change for the rest of her life, and she's not going to be able to do that without help. And even if she has help, it really won't matter until she's ready to change. If you talk to like a drug or alcohol counselor, they will tell you that somebody is not going to benefit from like rehab or counseling or anything like that until they are personally ready for the change. Like they're really willing to put in the work and they're ready to change. Amberlynn is not ready and may never be ready to give up the foods that she loves because that is the most important thing to her. So she's just not willing to change.
Black pepper, tapatio, and some minced garlic. So I'm just gonna let this cook a bit. So I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. Okay guys, so now I'm gonna add some corn and my green onion. Now I'm gonna let this all cook down and I'll see you guys when I'm done. All right guys, so it is complete. I also have some cottage cheese and a little bit of mustard on the side. That's so good. I love a bunch of veggies just cooked together. I'm also drinking water, which this is my second water for the day. So right now I'm eating chicken sausage, veggies, and cottage cheese. What would I have if I wasn't on track? I already know. Cheesecake Factory.
Look at her eyes when she said Cheesecake Factory. Like that set something off in her. She was like, Cheesecake Factory. Oh.
But what I would get from there would...
So here's the problem. In and of itself, this meal is not that bad. The problem is that it is enough for 4 people. That is a huge meal. And she will claim that she didn't eat it all, but I call bullshit. Of course she's going to eat that whole thing. And is Cheesecake Factory worse? Yes. Calorie-wise especially. Yes, it is worse. But it's still way too much food. And she calls it a victory when she eats one meal that she thinks is better than another meal she's had in the past.
So what I would get from there would be their artichoke crab dip, which comes with like these little hard bread things that you like dip in the crab dip. And then I would also get the fried macaroni and cheese. And then for my actual meal, I would get the fried Korean chicken, which comes with rice, a little bit of veggies. It's really good. And I know for sure for dessert, I would get Ben & Jerry. If you don't know what Ben & Jerry is, which I'm sure everyone does, it is like a pint of ice cream.
Did she really just say, if you don't know what Ben & Jerry is? And I know she followed it up with, I'm sure everyone does, but then she went ahead and explained it anyway. I guess maybe there are some people outside of the US that might not have heard of it, but I think most people know what Ben & Jerry is. And you know what she could have said was, I also get ice cream. Like a pint of ice cream, problem solved. And you don't have to explain anything.
Do keep in mind, I would order all of these things, but I wouldn't eat every single last bit of it, even when I was off track. I'm the type of person who likes to have stuff of a lot of different things. I am very wasteful with food, and I know that's like a very, very, very bad habit and a habit that I feel guilty about. So I would have half of...
I think she's guilty of a lot of things, but wasting food is not likely one of them.
The fried macaroni and cheese, I would have half of the crab dip. I would have half of my actual meal, but I would eat the full Ben & Jerry for sure.
So see, even when she's trying to come clean about how she got to over 500 pounds, she's still claiming that she's only eating half of stuff. I don't think she realizes how big that is. I mean, she lives it, obviously, but that is just wild. 500 pounds is so big. At my heaviest, I was almost 300 pounds. I got to like 294 was the last like weight I saw on the scale. And I was out of breath when I would tie my shoes. I would have to like go and get down and tie my shoes. And when I was done, I'd be like, because I was just so big. And I couldn't play with my kids at all. After a minute or so, I was out of breath. My knees hurt constantly. My feet hurt constantly. My back was starting to give out. I cannot fathom how much worse things would be adding another 200 pounds onto that.
Using this and cooking this at home, which is literally just a ton of veggies and some protein, genuinely is such a drastic change.
See, that's what she does. She congratulates herself on starting, right? Getting started to her is victory.
So I'm going to finish this.
Okay, credit where it's due. She just flat out said she's going to finish that. I was thinking she was going to say she only ate half of it or something, but there we go. She ate the whole thing, and that's a lot of food.
Actually, a vlog clip I want to film because I want to talk about something, so I'm going to go do that. All right, it is time for my next meal. If I was off track right now, I'd be having like a ramen, some chips. I always need something sweet when I'm off track after I eat anything salty, and one candy bar isn't enough for me during those moments. So I'd probably have like a Heath bar and a Snickers, but since I'm on track,
I think the terms on track and off track are probably not healthy for her. Because what ends up happening is when she's eating the way she's supposed to be eating, which again will not happen often and not long enough, but when she does, she can feel good about it because she can say it's on track. But once she messes up, then all of a sudden her mind frame changes to off track. And that then puts her in off track mode where she can then say, I'm already off track, so who cares? You know, when you think of it as a complete dichotomy, as just black and white, then when she eats well, she's on track. But once she messes up or eats something bad, she's already off track. She's already in that realm, right? She's fallen into that pit of off track, so she might as well stay there. She needs to get away from off track and on track. It's not good for her.
I'm having a Diet Coke and an Amy's Pesto TV dinner. So it's just one of these. It's the pesto tortellinis. These are so freaking good. This is one of my favorite Amy's TV dinners, so highly, highly recommend. All right, you guys, so I'm about to have a snack.
That may be all she ate in that moment and whatever snack she's talking about now, but she's eating more than she's saying. And I keep saying this, but none of this matters. Even if she was actually doing exactly what she's saying in these videos, she will not be able to do it long term.
So keep in mind that I do eat similar things, whether I'm off track or on track, but it's about the quantity. So when I'm off track, I order a lot of takeout. When I'm on track, I order less. When I'm off track, I eat a lot of sweets. And when I'm on track, I eat less. I have a massive sweet tooth. I learned an outpatient and...
Oh, good. When she's on track, she eats less. Problem solved. You know, that's why she's lost so much weight so far. She's done so well doing that.
Through multiple dietitians I've had in my life, I need to allow myself to still eat these things, because if I don't, I'm never going to succeed, because by telling myself, no, I...
So this may be her biggest problem, is she has this idea that there's success in weight loss, but that implies that there's like a finish line, like a certain point where you can say, I'm done. I have succeeded in my weight loss. But that's just not the case. You're never done. It is a change in your lifestyle for the rest of your life. I lost over 100 pounds, and if I had gotten to that point and said, cool, success, victory, and gone back to my old diet, I would just gain that weight right back. So she needs to get out of this mindset or lose this idea that there's such thing as success in weight loss. That's just not the case. You don't get to the finish line in weight loss. It's changing your habits forever.
I need to allow myself to still eat these things, because if I don't, I'm never going to succeed, because by telling myself, no, I can't have that, it makes me want it more. And when I want it more and I keep depriving, that is when I'll have 3 of these at once instead of just one. So it's just a little almond joy.
So I don't doubt that in therapy and outpatient and things like that, that there would be some sort of advice that says, give in to your cravings when you're kind of getting started. But I think the goal for that is to then have an offset for it, where eventually you learn to either get rid of the cravings, not have them anymore, or learn to live with them and not give in to them. But you need the techniques and the expertise of the counselors or the therapists to navigate you through that. But what Amber did was she heard, give in to your cravings, allow yourself the food, done. Full stop. Got it. I don't need to hear the rest. So she's taken the bad part, which is just given to your cravings, and she is completely ignoring or forgetting about the good part, which is where you eventually learn to live with those cravings and not have to give in to them. Again, the most important thing to her on earth is eating the foods that she likes. That is what brings her almond joy. Because food is her nutty buddy. And she has to protect her Reese's Pieces by eating, whatchamacallit. And I don't want to hear any Snickers because, I mean, really deep down, she's a real sweet tart. I mean, just listen to her. She's got it figured out.
Joy, if you guys have never had one, it is coconut with almonds on the inside and chocolate on the outside. So what I would be eating now instead of this would probably be like a massive...
Reese's Pieces to me are kind of my kryptonite. Once I start eating Reese's Pieces, it's hard for me to stop. That first bite, and I'm just like, oh, here we go. And I will go nuts on Reese's Pieces to the point where I make myself sick. And so I know I should probably not eat Reese's Pieces because as soon as I start, it's going to be hard to stop. And again, this is only speaking for me. I don't know what is actually going on with Amber, whether it's an actual ED or, whatever. But she's convinced herself that eating the thing is going to help her not eat the thing. But it really feels more like if she starts eating the thing, it will be difficult to stop eating the thing. That whole once you pop, you can't stop sort of thing. That's the way it is for me with like Reese's Pieces and Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I'm a peanut butter junkie. But that is just a way for her to convince herself and you that it's okay for her to eat what she wants. But I think what's happening is she pretends like she's only eating one. She turns the camera off and then goes for another one or two because, again, she's lying about what she's eating. She would not maintain at nearly 520 if she was just eating one candy bar.
Bowl of Fruity Pebbles. All right, you guys, so I am done eating, but I want to do something I've never done before. As you guys saw, I mentioned everything that I ate today versus everything that I would eat on a day where I'm off track. Here is everything that I ate today, and now I'm going to pop up over here everything that I ate on a day where I am off track. So
here again in lies the problem. She will look at this and go, I did so good, and she will claim victory for one day. Even though on this day, her diet was terrible. Those meals were way too much. She's not seeing the big picture. She's not understanding that this is nothing. This is literally nothing in the grand scheme of things.
The reason why I chose to do this is because in my last Let's Talk, someone said, show us what you really eat. And I've been hearing this my whole YouTube career. Amberlynn, you're fat for a reason. Why are you only doing these what I ate today videos when you're eating like a normal person? I just want to say I have...
No, that's not what they're saying. That is not what they're saying. They're not saying that you're only showing us the good days. They're saying that you are eating these meals on camera and saying that that's all you're eating. But that's just not true. You're lying about it. They're not saying, hey, you need to show us your off-track days. They're saying what you're showing us is a lie.
Have in the past done off-track videos, but they do not make me feel good. They make me feel horrific. I don't see the point in it. Doing on-track what I ate today videos, it's like a continuous reminder through the day of like, Amberlynn, stay on track, and it feels good. So filming off-track videos feels bad. Filming on-track videos feels good. So I'm not eating anything else for the rest of the night, but I also would have ate chips, salami, probably an ice cream bar. So that's why that is added on the...
Eaten. And this is the problem, right? This is what that person was talking about when she says, all I ate was this, the stuff on the right, the on-track stuff, and I'm not eating anything else for the rest of the night. If she was able to do that for any period of time, she wouldn't be here. So this is what the person is saying, that you are claiming that this is all you're eating, and if that were the case, you would not be 520 plus pounds.
The off-track day. Is every single day like that on the off-track day? No, but there are a large quantity of days that do look like that. I want to be as transparent as possible, so I thought doing something like this would show transparency.
You know, one word that always comes to mind when I think of Amberlynn Reed, that is transparency, for sure.
Not only that, but it shows like really big improvement.
See, there you go. She says it shows really big improvement. And I mean, I guess technically it is, but she's still eating enough for 4 people.
I know people see me eat Arby's and they saw me eat candy today and they're probably like, girl, like, how is that on track? Showing what I ate today versus what I eat off track shows like, oh, wow, she actually did make a really big adjustment to her day. So anyways,
So that's what this is all about. Comparing it to an off-track day is so that she can eat like shit, eat enough for 4 people, and go, yeah, I mean, it's bad, but look at how bad it was. You know, it was way worse back when I was like off track yesterday. But no, she's trying to convince herself and you and me that the amount of food she ate today isn't so bad. Relatively speaking. Anything to have an excuse to eat the way she wants to eat. So, I mean, yeah, we could all compare our diet to our worst moment, our worst day of eating, and say, look how much better I'm doing. But that doesn't mean you're going to make any progress.
If you had to improve one thing about today's food intake, what would it be? I look at my day and I don't see anything that I wanted to improve on. I feel like I did really good, but if I had to choose, I would have had Arby's for dinner and I would have woken up and had like a normal, good, decent breakfast. Was there a moment?
How about this? How about not a giant sandwich? How about half of that? That would have been a good start. That middle meal was enough for 4 people, and you will eat what you have on your plate. You just will. So instead of making enough food for 4 people, you should make a correct portion size for 1 person and eat that. The meal itself was actually a pretty good meal, right? It had some protein, had veggies and all that stuff. It was a good meal. The problem is you ate way too much of it. And then there's nothing wrong with having a candy bar or 2 every once in a while. But I think the main problem here is that she's convinced herself that she has to have what she wants.
Was there a moment today that you were about to fall off track, but you stopped yourself? There were a couple where I was like, oh, I should just order again for the day. And I have those thoughts frequently, but I've gotten a lot better at saying no. And I was successful in that. I ordered my 1 takeout and that was that.
And how long is that going to last? How long is any of this going to last? If we can use history as an example, her making good choices and kind of talking herself out of going off track will last another few days at most. And I'm pretty sure she's just eating what she wants anyway and just telling us that she's on track.
Consider today a successful day for you. No one else, just you. Why or why not? I do. And I think me talking more about, okay, so this isn't on track.
And again, she has to say that no one else, just you, because everybody else is going to say, girl, that was way too much food. You need to cut your portion sizes down and stop giving yourself permission to eat whatever you want. So she has to say, it was successful for me. You know, it may not be successful for you, or it may not be successful full stop, but it was successful for me. I'm happy with it. You know, I got to eat what I wanted. I got to eat a shitload of food. So I'm happy. Plus, I ate even more than I told you about. So it was a great day.
Track day versus this was what I would do if it was an off track day. It made me realize that more and more, because sometimes I can beat myself up thinking, oh my god, I had candy, or oh my god, I had Arby's, but like, girl, you need to stay in moderation lane because you'll fail if you don't. Again, I don't want to repeat myself, but there's a science behind.
I mean, she knows, she gets it, guys. Obviously, look, she figured it out a long time ago. She gets it. Just look. She knows exactly what to do. Clearly.
Behind it. It's like the more you say no, do not have something, the more you want it. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in my next.
That's not true. That's just for children, you know? Yeah, children are that way. But for adults, that's just not true. You can just say no. I'm going to stop it there. She was about to say goodbye. I got to say, I kind of prefer when she's on like Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers or some kind of program, because she doesn't seem so damn delusional. Right? I mean, it's still delusional, don't get me wrong. But when she's on her own diets that she comes up with, or when she's counting calories, when she's left to her own devices and sort of winging it, she is like deep into Lululand, thinking that she can control her urges and thinking that she is on track. The older she gets, the more dangerous this delusion becomes. But as frustrating as it is, it's at least entertaining because she's so damn stubborn, she won't listen to anybody else, right? When she clearly is either lying or wrong about her calorie intake, she won't listen to anybody trying to help her. So that's what makes it interesting and entertaining. So anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.